Kia ora, my name's Cathi Barker from Software Solutions, and you're looking at one of a collection of videos that supports and accompanies my Microsoft Excel Level 3 Data Manipulation course. What I want to have a look at is one of the spreadsheets we made in the earlier videos, the Excel 3-1 file. So I've got both files open and I'm currently looking at the Excel 3-2, and I'm just going to switch back to my Excel 3-1 file. Now there's a sheet in here called Advanced, and this is where we created some advanced filtering and we created some macros and some database functions, an if statement and some conditional formatting. We were quite busy. Now what I want to look at is one of the severe weaknesses of this spreadsheet. What we have here is the need for people to type the regions that they want and then click the button. If, for example, I change Taupō to Auckland, then it says here, click the button. If I then go and click the button, that's fine. I get the Auckland records, and you can see a couple here. But often people misspell or they put a space on the end. I've now typed in A2 Auckland space and it won't find Auckland space. Let me show you. So I click the button and notice the Auckland records just didn't appear. The biggest weakness with this spreadsheet is the fact that people have to type the region, and people often misspell or they put a space on the end, or in the case of Te Puke, for example, they don't put a space between the T and the Puke. So what I want to show you is data validation, and most importantly, how to create drop downs or lists in a spreadsheet. And we're going to turn these 4 cells, I hold the control key, and these 4 cells into drop downs where they choose a region from the list. And that way we know it's spelled properly, and that way we make sure that they choose valid ones. In order to create a list, you need a source for that list, a list of options that are to appear in that list. And that's what I want us to create first of all, using the Remove Duplicates button. We've got a sheet here called Targets, and this has got the regions in it. But I need a unique list of the 11 regions in this column. So I'm going to hold the control key and I'm going to make a duplicate of targets by dragging targets to the right with my control key held down. And this makes targets 2. I'll then double click the name of that targets 2 sheet and I'll call it options. These are my options. So I held the control key and I dragged the sheet name targets to the right to make targets 2. And then I let go of my mouse and let go of my control key. Now to remove the duplicates from this list, I click in the list, I go to data in the ribbon and I choose the Remove Duplicates button. And from here, I unselect all and I just choose region. I need a unique list of 11 regions. And I go, okay. 259 duplicates were found and they were removed, leaving me with 11 unique regions. So I go, okay. And here they are here. So what I can do now is click on one of these regions and hit A to Z, and I've got Auckland to Whakatane. The Remove Duplicates basically keeps the first instance of each region and deletes all the other ones. So you can organize your data to make that work for you. Now I want to get rid of columns A and B, so I select columns A and B and I go Control minus. I want to get rid of these columns, leaving me, Control minus, with just a unique list of 11 regions. This is going to be the source of my drop-down lists. Done. Now let's go to Advanced, and with these 8 cells selected, I'm going to go to Data in the ribbon and I'm going to choose Data Validation. Data validation at this point in time means that people can enter any value into those 8 cells. I want to change that. I want to make it that they now have to choose from a list. And that list needs a source. So I click in the source field, I go straight down to options, and I select from Auckland to Whakatane. That is the source of my list. I then go to Error Alert, and I want to stop them if they try to enter a region other than the 11 listed here. So I do a title to my error that says invalid region. And then I write an error message. You cannot enter that region. You must select a valid region from the drop-down list. Please try again. So you can write an error message. If I choose OK, I will now notice that if I click any one of those 8 cells, they have a drop-down. And they now show Auckland to Whakatane. So now there's no chance of them actually typing incorrectly a particular region. And they know what their options are now. And then they click the button. If they do try to enter something that's not on the list, let me try to enter Raglan. As soon as I press enter, invalid region, that's my title. And then there's my message. You cannot enter that region. You must select a valid region from the drop down. Please try again. So I retry. And so I have to choose something, cancel, from the list. So consider when you're creating a spreadsheet, is there any need for drop downs where people can choose yes or no, or a certain region, or something from a list, and then that ensures that your filtering and your reporting picks up the right values because they've been entered incorrectly. Let me just move that over a little bit. Just right click and move it. Yeah, so that's data validation. There are all sorts of validations. For example, I could go to a particular cell, for example, a blank cell, go to data validation, go to settings, and basically you can say, look, they have to enter a whole number. And you could say that it had to be between 2 values, or it has to be not equal to or greater than or less than. You can insist that they have to enter a date, or they have to enter a time. Especially if it was a timesheet, you could ensure that they had to enter a time, and it had to be between, say, 8 AM and 5 PM. Things like that. So all sorts of data validation. Data validation basically means you're applying strict or loose rules to one or more cells to try and ensure that the data that they enter is valid. Because if it's the old giggle, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't make sure that the data going in is good and not garbage, then it's very hard to get out any useful information. So have fun with data validation. Remove duplicates is a really handy button to create a source for that list. And what I often do, just so that people aren't tempted to change the source, you can insert rows. You know, I could click on row 6 and go Control Plus, and I could add Raglan. What will happen now is when I go to Advanced, Raglan will now be a part of the list. There it is there, because I inserted a row in between the 2 outliners, in between Auckland and Whakatane. So you can add stuff, but if you want to hide it so people aren't tempted to change things, you can right click and hide the sheet and it will still work. You just have to unhide it if you want to make any changes. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like or subscribe. I'd love to see you come back and watch the next video, which is on pivot tables, which is super cool. Okay, catch ya. Bye-bye.